Okay, so today we're going to be talking about the Riall lecture that featured Rafe Esquith this year. It happened on Tuesday, March 31st. Rafe is a teacher. He has been teaching for 32 years in urban Los Angeles. So today we're going to just touch base on some of the things he pointed out in his lecture, what we liked, and just comment on some of the things that he talked about.
Awesome. So he kind of just started with talking about the demographic of his school. So he teaches in downtown Los Angeles in a really, really not great area. And he said that 92% of the students were below poverty and all of the students were English language learners, which I thought was pretty incredible. And he said that 32% of all the students in his elementary school don't even end up graduating. So he's kind of like set the scene by talking about how difficult it is to be a student in this area and to be a teacher. So that was really powerful, just how he even began that. I mean, I'm at East Salisbury right now, and I think that's really difficult. So I couldn't even imagine being at this type of school.
Yeah, and he touched base on how important it was to, one, just make your kids behave well. And that's when he started talking about how you want to, like, set the model for your students and be, like, who you want your kids to become. So I thought that it was, like, a really, really great example when he was just, like, he kept saying, be the person you want your kids to be. So you need to be polite, you need to be patient if you want your kids to react in the same way.
Yeah, I agree.
I thought it was really cool about, like, well, interesting that he was like, I don't care about the tests. Like, if you teach them good, like, the test great, like, the test scores will follow, but he wants to teach them for 10 to 20 years down the road. He wants to teach them lessons that they're going to use in 20 years and that they can apply to their life, not just lessons that are what you learn in 5th grade, but lessons in 5th grade that you can carry out throughout your whole entire life.
Yeah, he touched base on how he was worrying about the students learning stuff that's going to be relevant in their life and useful skills. And that's also when he started talking about the My Classroom economy.
Yeah, that was my favorite part of the whole lecture. I thought that was the most interesting thing he was talking about. When I was at my last field placement last year, my 2nd grade teacher did something similar where they could earn. So basically, Rafe was saying that you set up this mini classroom economy where each student will have to pay rent for their desk, but they can apply for a job at the beginning of the year and they earn money through their job. A lot of them will use the money to you can buy like school supplies or books and stuff like that. And he was saying that some of the students would like make enough money to own their desk, and then they would rent out that desk to somebody else, and like the desks at the front of the room were more expensive than the desks at the back of the room. And when I was at Pemberton Elementary School, my teacher did something similar. She didn't have the desks be worth money, like they didn't have to pay rent, but there was like a banker, there was a janitor, there was a chair stacker, and she had the banker would go around at the end of the week and give everybody their money for payday, and then there was an accountant who would have to like record what everybody made, and then at the end of the month they had this big like town hall carnival thing where they built little like a mini bank and a mini police station and stuff. So it was kind of similar, not exactly the same, but I thought that was such a good idea. I think that that's something that everybody should do to help teach money management.
Yeah, and also he talked about how like they applied for jobs and how to do their taxes and everything when it came springtime, which are just like such great skills to know how to do. Like no one taught me that in high school. Like these kids are learning it in 5th grade and are prepared for like actual life skills that normally teachers just, you know, stick strictly to the curriculum. They don't teach like past like what they have to do.
Yeah.
I also like that he gave us a resource. He gave us that website, so as future teachers, we can use it in our classroom and know how to use it correctly and know what to do on what days. So that was really helpful.
And it's for every grade. So regardless of the
Yeah,
grade you're in,
every
like
grade.
they have a set plan that you can use for each grade to like teach your kids about economy and money and responsibilities.
Yeah. The website is myclassroomeconomy.org. I don't know if we said that. Um,
And
so beyond that, I also thought he did a really great job with arts integration in the school. I mean, obviously with all the theatrical stuff that he was doing, how they put on a Shakespeare play at the end of every year. But I also really liked, there was one video clip where it showed him reading Tom Sawyer or Huck Finn to a group of students, and they were at the very end of the book, and a lot of these like 11 and 12-year-old kids were crying, and he was saying that he teaches the books that have good moral lessons, and he doesn't really pay attention to whether or not it's banned or whether or not it's on the required reading list. He just wants his students to be exposed to good literature, which
Hmm.
I thought was really powerful too.
Yeah. And he always
I also like that he read it. The kids are English language learners, and they might not understand it. And also at 11, there's some stuff that they're going to read in these banned books that they're not going to fully understand or they have questions about, especially like Huck Finn. It was like about a long time ago with the slaves, and now in this day and age, they might not fully understand the situation and the moral development of those characters. So
Yeah.
it's good that they have like a classroom discussion about it.
Mhm.
Yeah. And then the big part of his presentation was the 6 levels of moral development. So there's like the 6 levels. There's level 1 where it's just to avoid trouble or punishment. Level 2 where it's for rewards. And then level 3 is to please the teacher. And I like that when he was talking about that one, he was like, students always come up and ask, like, how did I do on this? Like, what do you think of it? And I have like students do that to me all the time, and I like read over. I'm like, oh, it's good, like this and that. But I love it how he was like, ask them what they think about it. Like, don't like it shouldn't be about if the teacher likes it, like to own their own work and to like be proud of what they did. And then the level 4 is to follow the rules. Level 5 is being considerate to others, and then level 6 was the code of behavior.
Yeah, and I thought it was really funny when they were on the field trip and the guy was like trying to get the students not to behave or something, and one of the students was like, "Oh, he's just at level 2 on the moral behavior scale." So like she just totally brushed off this like adult for his poor behavior. I thought that was really
Yeah. She goes, he tears tickets for a living. Why am I going to listen to him? I'm like,
yeah.
you're right. That is the truth.
I also liked that he was what he said about don't ask permission, but apologize later, um, which I think a lot of teachers are really, especially first year teachers, I think that's a little difficult to do in your first year of teaching, just totally like go against what everyone is saying. But I think not enough teachers take that into consideration, that yeah, you're still working within this specific school board, and there are a set of guidelines that you have to follow, but at the end of the day, it's your job to make sure that your students are getting what they need. And if you have to, break the rules or go or bend the rules and just kind of go the extra mile to make sure that your students are succeeding, then you're going to have to do that. I mean, that's kind of what being a teacher is. So I thought that was really, really cool that he kind of like stressed that to us as, future teachers.
Mm-hmm. And then also when the students were asked like why they were doing something, he always made like a reason for it, like a purpose. There was like they always knew why they were doing something, and he told us that if you went into his classroom and asked one of his students why they were learning this or doing this worksheet, they would say, because it's a skill I'm going to need to use, it's going to make me a better person. So he always gave his students reason and like motivation to do what they were doing. It wasn't just he's not just going there for the so many hours that he needs to. Like he stays after school, he does the programs with them. He like truly like makes it his life to make sure these students are getting everything that they need out of their education.
And I think it's important that they learn that this skill that they are learning will better their lives, because you go into so many like high school classrooms or like middle school classrooms and you just are like, why are you doing like geometry, or why are you doing this? And they're like, I don't know, because I have to. Or they say, I'm going to forget it after this class.
Yeah.
And it makes them a better place or a better person. It makes them.
Yeah, it like puts it in context. It's not just some weird abstract subject that
Mhm.
they don't even know what to do with. Like he makes sure that there's a context for whatever you're reading.
Yeah. And then he relates everything back to like the levels of moral development. Especially when he's teaching, he's just like, what level are you going to be at? And I think that it's like extremely important. I mean, I know for all teachers it might not be easy to incorporate that in your classroom because it's not going to work right away. It's not going to work overnight. You can't, tell them the kids the 6 levels and then expect them to start being at level 6. You have to like work with them each day, continue to like, be a role model, explain to them like why things are important. That just like takes a lot of effort.
Yeah. It's a lot of hard work and a lot of money. Like he used so much of his own money for all these field trips and like sound equipment and all the crazy like high tech lights and musical instruments. That one girl that was playing the sitar, like that was so nuts. And he just spends his own money on his kids, which is like amazing.
I like.
And
go, Kara.
he also said that like if you put what you like into the classroom, it'll like make the kids have fun because you're having fun doing it as well. So like do what you like and put a little bit of yourself in each lesson, because that like the kids might not necessarily like Shakespeare, but if he likes it and has such a passion for it and excitement for it, it tends to make the kids be excited too about it, regardless of if they have like a bad image of it.
Yeah, I was going to say I like how it integrates technology and art into the classroom with the Shakespeare Club and different drama lessons that he does, and then also the technology he uses, the video equipment, the audio, the different instruments. They have to do editing to get those videos, so I'm sure like the children are working on that, and it promotes teamwork and different like language building skills because they are English language learners. So I think that's a good message he's sending to future teachers. Integrate all that.
It also, when I was I was a freshman in high school, and I had the best teacher I ever had in my life. She was in English. She was a freshman English teacher, and we had to read the Odyssey and the Iliad, which are like so difficult to read. They're all written in iambic pentameter, and it's like written in Old English, and there's all this like crazy stuff going on, and our teacher she'd like assign us a chapter to read at home, and then the next day she'd spend the entirety of class like reciting this book and acting out the Odyssey at the front of the classroom. She was like this little woman, and she would go into this whole, like she would become all these different characters and make us get involved, and I would have never understood those 2 books if she wasn't like taking us by the hand and making sure, like she wouldn't let us move on to another unit, she wouldn't let us take a test until she knew that we were all on the same level. And her style of teaching kind of reminds me of what Rafe was talking about. She would always be late with her tests, and it would take her a long time to turn in her final reports and stuff for all of us, but the end result was that everybody was passing and everybody was doing a really good job. Most of the students went up into enriched English or AP. I forget whether that's sophomore year or junior year, but I know after that I like leveled up in English. So it was very similar to what he was talking about. It was older students, but it was the same type of like she had a lot of passion and she cared a lot and she went the extra mile, which I appreciate to this day. So I thought that was super cool.
Yeah.
I want to talk about Janet's paper she wrote to get accepted into college, how she was saying room 56 was a safe place, and that basically the world paused because outside it was crazy and gangs and all this horrible stuff. But when she entered her 5th grade classroom, she felt safe and ready to learn, and she loved it. And that's just inspiring to me as a teacher, that at that moment you could be the safest thing that the child has in their life. And you just want to take that and run with it and make school fun and make your classroom a loving, happy environment for these children that go home and they have so many issues. And you just want to take them and like just make their world a better place through education.
Yeah. And that you're setting the stage at they're 10. So like at an early age you're saying like you can do what you want to do if you just keep working hard. And all of his students went to like Yale and Harvard and Princeton, and all because of this one 5th-grade class. Like, that's nuts.
Yeah, and after him saying that only 32% of the kids from his area finish high school, like all of his students are succeeding and stuff. And just it's really inspiring.
Mhm. Yeah, that was an amazing lecture. I bought both of his books like after I saw that lecture, because I just thought it was an incredible lecture. I was really, really glad that I went to it.
I think it's so incredible that he's still in the classroom today. Like, he's an author. He went on Oprah. He's like an honorary prince or something in England, but he is still in his classroom in his urban Los Angeles with all the poor kids, like making their life a better place. Like, that's where he needs to be, helping students.
And he uses all the money he makes from all these different things on his students.
Yes, he's one of Oprah's angels.
Yeah, very noble.
Yes, very noble.
Yeah. And he was also like very modest. Like, he wasn't trying to push anything on us or say his way was right. He was just telling us what works for him and giving us ideas to use in the classroom. But he even told us, he's like, all these ideas aren't going to work for you in your classroom. Like, you might not like Shakespeare, so you're not going to make a Shakespearean play. Like, he was just telling us what works for him and, some of his stories, and it was just inspiring. He wasn't trying to push any of his ways of teaching on us, which a lot of teachers do. They say, this way is this way or the highway, like, this is what works, this is what doesn't. And he just said what works for him. He wasn't pushing anything on us.
Yeah. I
also like that he shared something that just didn't work when he sent that movie home with the nudity, and the mom got so mad. So, like, he's not always been this, like, perfect, like, god of a teacher that just always has been at the top. Like, he's made mistakes too, and he's had to adjust his teaching plan. So that was really helpful to know that, like, you start out somewhere and you can work your way up.
Yeah, exactly.
Any more comments?
I think that, he kind of packed a lot in there, but I think we kind of hit most of his main points. He said at one point there's no shortcuts and you have to be able to put in the hard work, which I thought that was really...
And it's still true today, even for us college students. Like, there's still no shortcuts. Like, there's a way to do everything, and, you can't always be looking for a shortcut through it. You just have to put your best into it and do what you can do.
Yeah.
But overall, I think that this was like a great lecture. And it's the first one I've been to at Salisbury, so.
This one has been my favorite one I've been to.
Yeah, this one was great. I loved it. I had such a good time. So I look forward to the one in the fall.
Yes.
Okay. All right, well.
All right. Signing off.
Bye.